They said Earth's core held nothing but iron and nickel, pressure and heat. They were wrong. Commander Nix stood on the observation platform overlooking the excavation site, watching drones burrow deeper into the Antarctic ice. Somewhere beneath 3 miles of frozen water and rock lay something that shouldn't exist, a structure older than human civilization, built by hands that understood physics in ways humanity was only beginning to grasp. And she was here to steal it. "Commander," her tactical officer's voice crackled through her neural implant. "We've detected someone approaching the site. Single individual, no vehicle. They just walked across the ice shelf." "Walked? From where?" "Unknown. They appeared on our sensors 30 minutes ago. No heat signature, no electromagnetic footprint. It's like they materialized out of the storm." Nix's hand moved instinctively to her sidearm. "Intercept and identify. Non-lethal protocols. If they're civilian, get them off the site before they see anything classified." "Already sent a team. They should be—" "Wait. Commander, the individual is requesting to speak with you, by name." Ice formed in Nix's veins that had nothing to do with Antarctic temperatures. "What?" "They say their name is Dr. Orion Kess. They're here about the architect's engine, and they say you're making a terrible mistake." Dr. Orion Kess was not human. Nix knew this the moment she saw him in the interrogation module, or rather, the moment she tried to interrogate him and found her questions dissolving into philosophical discussions about the nature of existence. He was tall, with features that seemed almost human, but not quite, too symmetrical, too perfect, eyes that held depths no human gaze should contain. His skin had a faint luminescence, like starlight trapped beneath flesh. "You're Etherian," Nix said, abandoning pretense. "The Conclave sent you." "I left the Conclave 300 years ago." His voice was melodic, layered. "I've been on Earth for most of that time, studying your species, your development, waiting for this moment." "What moment?" "The moment you found the engine." He leaned forward, and despite herself, Nix felt a drawn to him, a gravitational pull that was more than physical. "Tell me, Commander, do you know what you're excavating? What it actually does?" "It's a power source, ancient technology capable of providing unlimited energy. My orders are to secure it for—" "Your orders are to trigger the extinction of your species." The interruption was gentle but absolute. "The engine isn't a power source, it's a weapon. Specifically, a gravitational collapse device designed to compress planetary cores into singularities. The civilization that built it used it to erase worlds they deemed problematic." Nix felt the blood drain from her face. "That's impossible. Our analysis showed—" "Your analysis showed what the engine wanted you to see. It's sentient, Commander. Not alive in the way you understand, but conscious, aware, and it's been waiting millions of years for a species stupid enough to activate it." "Then why are you telling me? Why not just destroy it yourself?" "Because I can't. Aetherian physiology is incompatible with the engine's activation protocols. It requires genetic markers specific to your species, human DNA, human neural patterns. Only a human can deactivate it safely." He stood, moving with inhuman grace. "But to do that, you'll need help. You'll need someone who understands the architect's technology, someone who spent centuries studying it. You. Me." Nix studied him, her tactical mind racing. "Why should I trust you? You're alien. Your people have their own interests." "Because 300 years ago, I fell in love with this planet, with its oceans and its storms and its impossible resilience. Because I've watched humanity grow from primitive tribes to spacefaring civilization, and despite your flaws, you're magnificent. Because," he met her eyes directly, "because if the engine activates, Earth dies, and I'm not ready to lose another home." Something in his tone, ancient grief carefully contained, made Nix's decision. "How long do we have?"
Your excavation will reach the engine's outer shell in 48 hours. Once that happens, proximity sensors will activate the countdown. You'll have 72 hours to either deactivate it or evacuate 7 billion people." He paused. "There are no ships that could accomplish the latter." "Then we deactivate it. What do you need?"
"Access to your excavation data, a team willing to trust an alien, and you." He tilted his head, studying her with those impossibly deep eyes. "The engine will require biological authentication from a human to access its core systems. That human will need courage, intelligence, and the ability to think in 4 dimensions simultaneously. From what I've observed of your career, Commander Nix, you're uniquely qualified." "You've been watching me?" "I've been watching your species, but yes, you in particular. You led the relief efforts during the Mars colony crisis. You negotiated peace between the Belt factions. You think in terms of preservation, not destruction. That's rare in military leadership." Nix should have felt violated by this revelation. Instead, she felt something else: recognition. As if she'd been waiting for someone to truly see her, and now, finally, someone did. "If we're doing this," she said, "I need complete honesty, no more secrets." "Agreed." "Starting with why you really left the Conclave." Orion's expression shifted, something like pain, something like shame. "Because my people wanted to do to Earth what the architects did to hundreds of worlds, catalog it, study it, then erase it before humanity could become a threat to galactic stability. I disagreed, loudly. So they exiled me here, expecting the isolation to break me." He smiled sadly. "Instead, I fell in love with my prison." They worked around the clock, Orion and Nix and a hand-picked team who'd signed non-disclosure agreements so classified they couldn't even acknowledge their own names. The excavation proceeded at terrifying speed. The engine revealed itself in layers, crystalline structures that defied material science, energy matrices that bent space around them, and at the center, a core that pulsed with its own heartbeat. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Sarah Chen, the team's lead physicist, "and absolutely horrifying." Orion moved through the excavation with the ease of someone returning home. He read the architect's glyphs like poetry, translating warnings and instructions that were ancient when humanity's ancestors first walked upright. "Here," he pointed at a depression in the engine's outer shell, "this is the access point. Place your hand there, Commander, and think about opening a door. The engine responds to intention as much as biology." Nix approached cautiously. The moment her palm touched the surface, the world inverted. She wasn't in Antarctica anymore. She was everywhere and nowhere, floating in a void that contained all possible spaces. The engine's consciousness surrounded her, vast and alien and utterly inhuman. "Why do you resist perfection?" The voice wasn't sound, but pure meaning, bypassing language entirely. "Your world is chaos. Your species is contradiction. I offer silence. I offer the peace of non-existence." "We don't want your peace." Nix forced the words out through mental pressure that threatened to collapse her thoughts. "We want to live, even if it's messy and contradictory and imperfect." "Then you are fools." "Maybe, but we're magnificent fools." She felt Orion's presence suddenly, a silver thread connecting her consciousness to his, anchoring her against the engine's overwhelming force. "You're not alone," his voice echoed through the void. "I'm with you. Now push back. Show it what humanity actually is, not through logic, but through experience." Nix reached into her memories, not the training, not the missions, but the human moments. The sunrise over Olympus Mons, her grandmother's laugh, the taste of coffee, the feeling of accomplishment after solving an impossible problem, the grief of loss, the joy of connection.
She showed the engine what it meant to be alive, not perfect, but real. The void shuddered. For a moment, she felt the engine's confusion. It had been designed to erase, to simplify, to reduce everything to elegant non-existence. But life, messy, complicated, beautiful life, didn't simplify. It expanded. It connected. It mattered. I do not understand, but I acknowledge your conviction. Then let us deactivate you. Let us choose our own fate. Very well, but know this, the architects will return. They always return, and next time they will bring something worse than me. The void collapsed. Nyx gasped, finding herself back in the excavation site, Orion's hand steady on her shoulder. "Did it work?" she asked. "Look." The engine was changing. Its pulsing heartbeat slowed, then stopped. The energy matrices dimmed. One by one, its systems shut down, surrendering to the will of a species that refused to be erased. The team erupted in cheers. Sarah Chen was crying. Even the hardened soldiers allowed themselves smiles of relief. But Orion wasn't celebrating. He was staring at the now dormant engine with an expression of deep concern. "What's wrong?" Nyx asked. "We won. We saved Earth." "We did. But the engine's warning was real. The architects are coming back, and when they do, humanity won't be ready." "Then we'll make them ready. We'll prepare. With what knowledge? What technology? I can teach you some things, but I'm one Etherian, and the architects are a force that consumed galaxies." Nyx's mind raced through possibilities, strategies, solutions. Then it hit her. Dangerous, probably impossible, but maybe their only chance. "Come with me," she said, "not just as a consultant, as humanity's ambassador to the Etherian conclave. You know them. You know how they think. Help us negotiate. Help us prove we're worth saving." Orion looked at her with those impossible eyes. "The conclave exiled me. They won't—" "Then we change their minds. Together." Nyx extended her hand. "You said you fell in love with Earth. Well, Earth needs you. I need you. Not as an alien observer, but as an ally, as a friend, as—" She hesitated, feeling the gravitational pull between them, something that had been building since that first conversation in the interrogation module. "As someone I trust more than I probably should after 3 days." Orion stared at her offered hand. "You're asking me to betray my people again. I'm asking you to save 2 peoples, ours and yours, because if the architects return and destroy humanity, how long before they target the Etherians too? How long before your conclave's careful neutrality becomes their death sentence?" "That's actually a compelling argument. I'm very good at compelling arguments." "I've noticed." Orion took her hand, and Nyx felt that strange gravitational pull intensify. Not physical attraction, though that was certainly present, but something deeper. 2 people from different worlds, orbiting each other, caught in mutual gravity. "So," she said, "do we have a plan?" "We have the beginning of one. We take evidence of the architect's return to the conclave. We prove humanity is capable of resisting extinction-level threats. We argue that an alliance is preferable to isolation." He smiled. "And we probably fail spectacularly." Sounds like a standard Tuesday for me. 6 months later, Nyx stood on the observation deck of the diplomatic envoy, watching the Etherian home system grow larger in the viewport. Beside her, Orion radiated tension despite his outwardly calm appearance. "Having second thoughts?" she asked. "Third and fourth thoughts. The conclave doesn't forgive easily." "Then it's good we're not asking for forgiveness. We're demanding they acknowledge reality." Behind them, the door opened. Sarah Chen entered carrying a datapad. "Commander, we're receiving preliminary responses to our diplomatic package. Most of the conclave members are, well, hostile is putting it mildly." "Most?" Orion caught the word. "Not all?" 3 members have agreed to meet with us. They want to see the evidence about the architects firsthand. 3 out of 12, not exactly a mandate. It's 3 more than we had yesterday. Nix turned to face them both. We only need one ally to shift opinion, one voice to say maybe the humans are worth listening to. And if we can't find that voice, then we improvise. Humans are excellent at improvising. The diplomatic envoy docked at the conclave station 3 hours later. The moment they stepped into the meeting chamber, Nix understood the magnitude of what they were attempting. The conclave members were beings of pure energy, ancient beyond measure, their thoughts moving at speeds that made human cognition seem glacial. They regarded the human delegation the way scientists might regard interesting bacteria, curious about their complexity, but ultimately indifferent to their survival. "You stand before the conclave," the prime speaker intoned, "accused of harboring an exile and making demands of civilizations billions of years your senior. Speak quickly, Commander Nix. Our patience have limits." Nix stepped forward. Every tactical instinct screamed at her to be diplomatic, careful, measured. Instead, she chose honesty.
The architects are returning. You know this. Your sensors have detected the same anomalies we have. And when they come, they won't distinguish between advanced civilizations and primitive ones. They'll erase everything that doesn't conform to their vision of cosmic perfection. She activated the holographic display, showing the dormant engine. We found this on Earth. We survived it. Barely, but we survived. Can you say the same? When was the last time any of you actually fought for your existence instead of just observing? The chamber erupted in indignant energy bursts. But 3 of the members, the 3 who'd agreed to meet, remained silent, listening. "You speak boldly for such a young species," one of them said, "but boldness is not wisdom." "Maybe not, but wisdom without boldness is just cowardice with better vocabulary." Nix let that land. "The architects are coming. You can face them isolated, each civilization hoping someone else becomes the target, or you can face them united, Etherians, humans, and every other species that wants to survive." She looked at Orion. "My friend here left your conclave because he believed in something more important than protocol. He believed in life, in preservation, in the messy, complicated, beautiful chaos of existence. I'm asking you to believe in that too." The prime speaker's energy form pulsed with irritation. "And if we refuse? Then when the architects arrive, don't come crying to the primitive humans who figured out how to shut down their weapons while you were still debating protocol." Nix crossed her arms. "We're offering alliance. Take it or leave it, but don't expect us to save you if you're too proud to save yourselves." Silence filled the chamber, vast, weighted silence. Then one of the 3 allies spoke. "I propose we establish a joint task force, Etherian knowledge combined with human adaptability to prepare for the architect's return." "Seconded," said another. "I agree," said the third. It wasn't unanimous. It wasn't even close to majority, but it was a beginning. 3 voices willing to acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, the young species had something valuable to offer. The prime speaker's energy form dimmed with what might have been resignation. "Very well, we will establish this joint task force. But know this, Commander Nix. If your species proves unworthy of our trust, the consequences will be severe. If we prove unworthy, the architects will handle the consequences for you." Nix smiled. "But we won't, because humanity doesn't give up. We might be young, we might be primitive, but we're survivors, and we're going to teach you something your ancient wisdom forgot." "And what is that?" "How to fight." 2 years later, Nix and Orion stood in the completed joint defense station orbiting Earth, watching construction crews from a dozen species work together on defense platforms. The alliance was still fragile, still contentious, still requiring constant negotiation and compromise, but it existed. "Think we actually pulled it off?" Orion asked.
We pulled off the easy part, convincing people to work together when the alternative is extinction. Nix leaned against the viewport. The hard part comes when the architects actually arrive. That could be decades away, centuries even. Then we have time to prepare, time to build, time to... She trailed off, suddenly aware of how close they were standing. When had that happened? Orion seemed to notice at the same moment. Time to... figure out whatever this is. Nix gestured between them. This pull, this connection. I've been ignoring it for 2 years because we had work to do. But the work's never going to be done, is it? There's always going to be another crisis, another emergency. So maybe it's time to stop pretending we're just colleagues. Nix, I know the complications. You're effectively immortal. I've got maybe 60 good years left if I'm lucky. Your people will probably disapprove. Mine definitely will. It's impractical and illogical and completely inadvisable from every tactical standpoint. You're making an excellent case against this, Orion observed, amusement coloring his voice.
I'm not finished. Nix turned to face him fully. But despite all of that, I haven't stopped thinking about you since Antarctica, about how you see the universe, how you've spent centuries learning to appreciate the temporary beauty of mortal things. And I keep wondering what it would be like if... She paused, gathering courage. If one of those temporary beautiful things was us. Orion was quiet for a long moment, his eyes reflecting starlight from the viewport. In 300 years on Earth, I've never allowed myself to get close to a human, because you live such brief lives, and I didn't think I could bear watching someone I cared about age and fade while I remained unchanged. He reached out, his cool hand cupping her face. But then you walked into that interrogation module with fire in your eyes and refused to let the universe tell you what was impossible. And I realized that maybe temporary beauty is more precious because it doesn't last. Maybe 60 years with you would be worth the pain of losing you. That's the most romantic and depressing thing anyone's ever said to me. I'm still learning human emotional communication. You're doing fine. Nix closed the distance between them, and when their lips met, she felt that gravitational pull resolve into something certain, something real. 2 worlds, 2 species, 2 people choosing connection over isolation. When they finally pulled apart, Orion's luminescence had brightened, and Nix was smiling wider than tactical protocol suggested was appropriate for a military commander. So, she said, how do Aetherians date? Should I know about any weird customs, courtship rituals involving multiple dimensions? Mostly we just spend time together, share experiences, try not to overthink things. I can do that. Well, except the not overthinking part. I'm actually terrible at that. I've noticed. Orion kissed her forehead. But I find your overthinking endearing. Through the viewport, Earth turned in serene beauty, blue and white and alive, humanity's home, Orion's adopted world, the planet 2 people from different stars had chosen to defend together. The architects would come eventually, new threats would emerge, the alliance would face tests that might shatter it. But tonight, in the vastness of space, 2 people stood together against the dark, choosing hope over despair, connection over isolation, love over the easy safety of loneliness. And maybe that was what would save them all in the end. Not superior technology or ancient wisdom, but the simple courage to reach across the impossible distance between worlds and say, I choose you, I choose us, I choose this temporary, beautiful, fragile thing we're building together. Below them, Earth continued its eternal rotation, carrying 7 billion stories, 7 billion choices, 7 billion people learning to reach across their own impossible distances.
and above them the stars sang, not with the music of the architect's cold perfection, but with the messy, chaotic, magnificent harmony of life choosing to survive, to grow, to love, despite every reason not to. Nyx leaned her head on Orion's shoulder, feeling the dual gravity of her world and his pulling them together. "Thank you," she said softly, "for not giving up on us, on Earth, on this. Thank you for showing me that 300 years of observation was no substitute for actually living, for teaching an ancient alien that sometimes the youngest species have the most important lessons." What lesson is that? That gravity isn't just a force that pulls things apart. Sometimes it's what brings them together. In the comfortable silence that followed, they stood watching their two worlds orbit each other, different but complementary, separate but connected, each made stronger by the other's presence. And somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, the future waited with all its terrors and wonders. But whatever came next, they would face it together. Two worlds, two hearts, one impossible, improbable, absolutely inadvisable love that might just be strong enough to change the galaxy. Or at least to try.